Good morning. I'm Peter Milias from the Finance News Network. Stocks fell Friday as investors pulled back from positions in First Republic and other bank shares amid lingering concerns over the state of the US banking sector. Banks in the US, Europe, and Japan have collectively lost $459 billion in market value so far this month, and this 16% fall is the sharpest slump since March 2020. And now, over the weekend, UBS has agreed to purchase Credit Suisse for $3.25 billion after Swiss regulators intervened to prevent a crisis from spreading across the global financial markets. The deal comes after a 5-day effort by the Swiss establishment to end a deepening crisis at Credit Suisse that threatened to topple the country's second largest lender. Despite the Swiss National Bank's emergency credit line, the share price continued to plummet due to the sudden collapse of California-based Silicon Valley Bank earlier this month. Looking ahead, it looks like a repeat of last week ahead for markets this week. More fear, loathing, desperation, safe havens, and a rate rise from the Federal Reserve. The causes, the same as last week. The global banking crisis, especially in Switzerland and the US, central bank meetings led by the US Federal Reserve and the Bank of England, all enough to add speculation and market volatility. On Friday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 1.2%, the S&P 500 slid 1.1%, while the Nasdaq Composite was down 0.7%. Bank stocks have been closely followed by investors in recent days amid fears that others could face the same fate as Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, which were both closed within the last week. The market has been responding to the latest developments in the sector after regulators said over the weekend that they would backstop deposits in the two banks. First Republic slid nearly 33% to end the week down close to 72%. That marked a turn in Thursday's relief bounce, which came when a group of banks said it would aid First Republic with $30 billion in deposits as a sign of confidence in the banking system. Friday's nosedive weighed on the SPDR Regional Banking ETF, which lost 6% in the session and finished the week 14% lower. Despite the down session, the S&P 500 advanced 1.4% last week. The Nasdaq Composite gained 4.4% as investors bet on technology and other growth names ahead of this week's Federal Reserve policy meeting. It was the best week since January 13th for the tech-heavy index, but Friday's slide pulled the Dow into negative territory this week, finishing 0.15% lower. Gold ended up 2.6%, up over 6% for the week for the best weekly gain since November. Bitcoin futures are up 6%, rising above $27,000 for the first time since June. WTI crude ended the week down 2.4%, down 13% for the week for its worst weekly performance since April 2020. Sarepta Therapeutics stock was plummeting after the Food and Drug Administration said it was seeking input from a panel of independent experts on the biotech's new gene therapy drug. But analysts remained bullish, calling the update surprising but not negative. It was only about 2 weeks ago that Sarepta said that the FDA has no plans to hold an advisory committee meeting to evaluate SRP-9001 for treating Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a genetic disorder. But Thursday, in a call with analysts, Sarepta said that FDA changed its decision as SRP-9001 is one of the first gene therapy biologics license applications founded on surrogate endpoint, a substitute to clinical outcomes. In commodity news, the Critical Raw Materials Act, unveiled by the European Union, includes copper and nickel as strategic materials for the first time in order to ensure swift approvals and easier access to capital. Note that the strategic materials list previously focused on more niche minerals, such as cobalt, lithium, and rare earths. That said, industry groups and firms stated that industry metals such as aluminium should be included to ensure that there is adequate supply of materials needed for the green transition. Overall, on Friday, all S&P 500 sectors closed lower. Financials has continued to fall, dropping by over 3% in the session. The SPY futures are pointing to a 1.4% fall. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.